So what we have here today is a little bagger comparo. This includes the Harley Road Glide. It's an old standby in the Harley line and been around a long time. And been around a long time because people keep buying it. Along came the Kawasaki Vulcan 1700 Vaquero for 2011. You get a look at that bike. Clearly it's there to kind of go after and achieve what Harley's done with their touring motorcycles, particularly the Road Glide, since the Road Glide and the Vaquero both have frame-mounted fairings, and they both have hard luggage. That said, with these two motorcycles, we have something of a $4,500 question, as I'm calling it. The Vaquero is a 1700cc twin, or 103 cubic inch, and the Road Glide that we have today also is a 103. Both engines, as you'll see in the dyno results in the story, they're pretty evenly matched. They are running neck and neck for quite a bit, which is interesting, especially since the Kawi is liquid cooled. We expect maybe a little better performance out of it compared to an air cooled engine that the Harley has. But essentially mechanically they're pretty well matched otherwise. Braking performance, they both have about the same stopping power. My preference though, I didn't think I'd ever hear myself saying this in this day and age, but or ever, but I think that the Harley has a little bit better brake feel. Handling and chassis characteristics is another area where the Harley kind of surprised me. Not that one necessarily handles better than the other, but the Harley is a quicker feeling, lighter steering response. Dare I say, the sportier of the two. I was rather surprised, and a lot of that's going to come from the Harley's narrower front tire. It runs an 18-inch up front and a 16 rear. In terms of the Kawi's handling, it runs 16-inch wheels front and rear, and it also has a big old fatty front tire. That certainly is going to slow down the handling a little bit, may contribute somewhat to a slightly more vague feel at some points. Both are running hard saddlebags. The Harley's is a little roomier. Also, it is top loading. If you'll remember or go back and read the Vaquero single bike review, to fit the overall styling of the Vaquero, Kawasaki had to redesign the bag a little bit. They lost a little bit of storage room in there, and also to achieve the look, they had to go to a side loading bag. Not that that's a problem, but maybe not always convenient. You have to be conscious of the fact that if you have stuff in there and you open the side of the saddlebag, it may come tumbling out. However, a neat thing, or at least I perceive it as neat, as a result of that, is that you must always use the key to open and close the bag. So you never have to concern yourself with, well, riding down the freeway at 80 miles an hour, hey, did I just lock my saddlebag and are my underpants all over the freeway now? Not an issue. Vulcan, Vaquero, arriba! Good wind protection from both. I'm going to say that the Vaquero probably gives a little more buffeting at freeway speeds. Though both these bikes have these low screens, a lot of that is going to depend on the rider. I stand 5'8". I can deal with the buffeting on most of both these bikes. However, if you're a bigger guy, 6 foot, 6'2", you're probably going to get some more wind blast, and you might have a different opinion of buffeting on these. So you're going to have to kind of decide that for yourself. Something I think that the Vaquero certainly has the Harley beat at is ergonomics and ride comfort. Even though we are only talking about an inch difference in suspension travel from what the Vaquero has over the Harley, Harley offers 2 inches, the Vaquero has roughly 3 inches. It feels like the Vaquero has about twice the suspension travel. Just a much more plush ride, especially over things like expansion joints and busted up pieces of road, or large cracks that you may find yourself riding over, and especially when it's at speed on the Harley, even though it's got 2 inches, which isn't a lot, it feels like about a fraction of that. It feels like it just drilled my spine when I hit some pretty rough patches on the Harley's suspension. And why that's important, it's not such a big deal on decent surface streets, or you're cruising around town, or even canyon roads that are in pretty good shape. But something to keep in mind, because these are touring motorcycles and people probably will do a lot of miles on these things. The Vaquero, because it's more forgiving and plush ride, is at the end of the day, when you get to your destination, if you're doing a weekend or a week-long ride, you're going to feel a lot less beat up, likely. That is, if you're on the Vaquero compared to the Harley. If I were spending the money on the Harley for the many things I like about it, I would be pretty disappointed in the overall ride quality, especially from the rear suspension. Big manatees. Let's get back to what I mentioned earlier in the beginning about the $4,500 question. What I didn't mention the first time is that when I spoke about the engine displacement, even though they're matched engines in terms of displacement, the 103 in the Harley-Davidson is actually part of what Harley this year is calling the Power Pack. That means that the 103 cubic inch engine in the Road Glide, as well as the Street Glide and a number of other models, is an upgrade. This bike standard engine is the good old 96 twin cam. That won't likely perform as well, at least in terms of dyno results and horsepower and torque, to the Vaquero's 103. So the 103 in the Harley is an upgrade. That is a $1,995 upgrade. It's not just the engine upgrade. You get a couple other things such as ABS and a security package. So where does the $4,500 come in? Standard black model for the Road Glide Custom is $18,999. Standard price for the Vaquero is $16,499, and that comes with a lot of the stuff that's additional on the Road Glides. For example, standard cruise control on the Vaquero. On the Harley, that's roughly an additional $300. So when you take the standard price of $18.99, then throw about another $500 in there for any colored Road Glide you want to get, and then add in the Power Pack to match the engine performance for the Vaquero, we're talking about at least a $4,500 price difference between these two motorcycles.